Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be starting a sort of mini-series on the Crusades. So let's begin. The Crusades were a series of military expeditions undertaken by European Christians to the Holy Land, along with into the Eastern Europe and the Reconquista of the Iberian Peninsula. So let's begin. By 1071, Jerusalem had fallen from the Byzantine Empire's control to that of the Seljuk Turks, following the Byzantine Empire's disastrous collapse, very similar to the Ottoman Empire's collapse. And by 1095, Byzantine Emperor Alexios I Komnenos requested military aid from Pope Urban II at the Council of Piacenza. This was the result as the collapsing Byzantine Empire was losing territory in the east due to increased migration of the Seljuk Turks from Asia. Later that year, the Council of Clermont was formed by Urban II and preached the crusade to the peasants of Europe along with the barons and kings. This led to Peter the Hermit, a Catholic priest travelling around Europe, gathering peasants and some knights together for the People's Crusade. However, while in Germany, it resulted in the Rhineland massacres of 1096, where hundreds of Jewish communities were massacred due to their connection with the Antichrist and the devil. We will also see a theme of this from the rest of the Crusades, including even in Britain. And at this point, the People's Crusade continued to Constantinople, following a land route through Hungary, where they again continued to harass locals and murder and execute people. Once arriving at Constantinople, they began to loot markets. It got so bad to the point where the emperor was forced to negotiate with Peter the Hermit in order to get them to leave. Soon they headed off and began to go towards Nicaea, a recently captured Muslim city, which was formerly in Byzantine hands. However, they were annihilated during a Turkish ambush known as the Battle of Sivalot on the 21st of October 1096. Almost all of them died, except for Peter the Hermit, who would escape with his life and return back to Europe and begin preaching again to try and rise up another People's Crusade. Although King Philip I of France and the Holy Roman Emperor Henry IV refused to join, many counts and aristocrats did join the actual crusade being the one led by realistic military leaders and full knights. Following the main crusading forces' arrival in Constantinople, the Byzantine emperor made them swear allegiance to him. This was due to fears that what would happen with the People's Crusade would happen again. Luckily it didn't, although it would be another recurring theme where Constantinople was destroyed. They then set off to Nicaea again, where they passed the still rotting corpses of those of the peasants on the People's Crusades, as they were left there by the Seljuk Turks as an intimidation tactic. And on the 19th of June 1097, it fell back again to Christian hands. However, as part of the swearing of allegiance to Emperor Alexios I Komnenos, the Christian knights had swore that they would return all territories of former Byzantine Empire back to the Byzantine Empire. However, they would not, Nicaea being one of the cities they did not return. Eventually, Christian troops arrived outside of Jerusalem. However, it was no longer under Seljuk rule, as it had fallen under Seljuk rule in 1071. It was under Fatimid control. Now, the Fatimids were another form of the Muslim community. It's obviously divided between Shia and Sunni, and they were Egyptians, essentially. They had recently conquered Jerusalem due to the fact that they had turned on the Seljuks as they were weakened by infighting and of the royal family dying out. However, this did not stop the Crusaders, as although Jerusalem had been fortified again by the Fatimids, they began the siege on the 7th of June 1099. However, they lacked proper siege equipment. After a while, however, European siege technology builders arrived from Europe into the Middle East, where they began constructing two ginormous war engines. These were essentially siege towers and were, of course, a main staple of European warfare at the time. And on the 15th of July 1099, the Crusaders broke down the walls and flooded into the city. They then massacred the inhabitants and looted the city for 2 days. Following this, the first Crusader states began to appear, and there were 4 of them. It was the Kingdom of Jerusalem, the main one, the County of Tripoli, the Principality of Antioch, and the County of Edessa. Now, moving on a few years, we head to the Second Crusade, and this was by far a massive, disastrous defeat. After the First Crusade, Edessa fell to Muslim hands in 1146. Now, this caused great concern for the Kingdom of Jerusalem and Western European leaders, as it essentially meant that the Kingdom of Jerusalem was cut off by all land routes. It was only reachable by sea. Now, of course, the sea was a very dangerous place to navigate, as pirates operating out of Muslim-controlled North Africa, under the Moors and the Fatimids, were wreaking havoc upon shipping, and although the Sicilians did try and stop it, they were relatively unsuccessful in stopping piracy. So, Eugene III, the new pope, issued the bull Quantum Predecessores in December 1145. It called for a new crusade, and not only that, it called for it to be more organised and led by the one king, a king who was the strongest in Europe, to recapture Edessa and reinforce Jerusalem. However, once again, infighting occurred where two kings answered the call, Louis VII of France and Conrad III of the Holy Roman Empire. Now, the German troops planned to leave to Constantinople at Easter. However, they did not depart until May 1147. Although they were meant to wait for the French, the Germans left anyway due to a small battle outside Constantinople, as again we mentioned that there were more fighting between the Byzantine troops and the Crusaders. However, instead of the normal traditional moments where the Byzantines were defeated, it was the Germans who were in fact defeated by the Byzantine Empire. They were humiliated by this defeat and left. The Germans then went on to fight the Seljuks of Rum, or the Sultanate of Rum, under the Sultan Mesud I. The Germans, however, were totally destroyed during the Second Battle of Dorylaeum on the 25th of October 1147. However, Conrad and a few soldiers did survive. The French left in June 1147 and met the remnants of Conrad's forces in northern Turkey. Conrad did join the French forces, essentially, at this point. However, again, infighting would be another problem that they would face, as Conrad and Louis would vie for control of the army. There, the first ever joint victory was the Battle of Ephesus on the 24th of December 1147, and then, following that, the Battle of Meander. However, they then suffered a massive defeat during the Battle of Mount Commodus on the 6th of January 1148. Retreating from this battle, the Crusader forces then sailed to Antioch, almost totally destroyed by the battle and of sickness. Again, sickness being another major problem that they faced due to the non-introduction of medicines to try and help them. The Crusaders arrived on Antioch on the 19th of March 1148 in order to take Edessa. However, unbeknownst to them, on the 24th of June 1148, the Council of Acre was held by the Knights Templar and Baldwin III and changed the objective to Damascus. Following the Crusaders being informed of this, they then marched to Damascus. This led to the Battle of Bosra, where no force emerged victorious, before the disastrous 5-day siege of Damascus from the 24th to the 28th of July 1148. This resulted in Christian forces withdrawing and retreating back to friendly territories. However, the crusade did result in 1147 of Eugene III expanding the crusade to the Iberian Peninsula, resulting in the Reconquista being now officially part of the crusading reasons as to together. But why did people go on the crusades? Well, that was because of the concept of the getting rid of sins. The Pope Urban II originally called for the crusade as not only a reclamation of Jerusalem and the Holy Land in the name of God, but he also called it as a promise of those who had committed sin, mostly being knights and other military leaders and kings, that all their sins would be wiped clean if they went on crusade. Now, of course, the Crusades were a massive sort of moment in history, so it is going to take more than one video. So I'm going to have to potentially do a part 2 to get to the 4th Crusade, and even a part 3 perhaps. So I hope that was right. Thank you for watching.